Welcome to this video by PetroProphet. Today we'll talk about a really useful tool for locating and keeping track of land tracts, known as the Public Land Survey System. The Public Land Survey System is an old yet useful tool for locating and organizing different tracts of land. Its long history began after the Revolutionary War, after it acquired the western frontier. It was originally proposed by Thomas Jefferson as a way for the government to divide equal tracts of land to award Revolutionary soldiers for their contributions in combat. Another benefit was the organization of land tracts that would allow for the government to sell lots for fundraising purposes. The original document that described the systematic steps in land surveying is known as the Land Ordinance of 1785. In order to easily sell land to citizens, the Northwest Ordinance of 1787 was passed, which created a more rectangular system. By orders of Congress, cadastral surveys, a subfield of surveying that specializes in the establishment and reestablishment of real property boundaries, were to take place in order to mark the lands that were available for disposal by the U.S. government. Although the Public Land Survey System has evolved over time, the same surveying system has been in effect since 1785, and today it forms the foundation of most land transactions that take place. Although large portions of land were given away, not all land was to be for the public domain. In particular, areas such as the beds of navigable bodies of water, national installations, and areas from the result of land grants that had already given private transactions prior to the survey had not been surveyed yet. Since the inception of the Public Land Survey System, we've come a long way. In fact, over 1.5 billion acres have been surveyed over the past 200 years. Keeping track of all those records is such a daunting task. There's a special government organization, known as the BLM, that is responsible for keeping track of over 200 years of land surveys and transactions. Although the only areas left to survey are mostly in Alaska, the Bureau of Land Management is constantly resurveying in order to restore obliterated or lost survey corners. So I've been sitting here explaining the origin of Public Land Survey System, but I still haven't shown you guys how to use it. Like I mentioned earlier, the Public Land Survey System is a way to divide public domain lands, which are owned by the government and are available for the benefit of the American people. The original land included land given to the New England colonies and also includes the later additions by Native Americans and foreign nations. In all, the Public Land Survey System encompasses 30 states. The typical division is a 6 square mile township, which are subdivided into 36 1 square mile sections. Each section can be further divided into quarter sections and then finally in quarter sections. In order to easily locate selection corners, there's usually a permanent marker placed in each selection corner. Markers may be placed in the quarter section corners or near important government points. They're usually nothing more than a small rod sign, which is a stark contrast to the original survey markers that consisted of wooden stakes, marked trees, pits, piles of rock, or other less permanent markers. Technically, the Public Land Survey System utilizes a series of 3 different surveys, which begin at an initial point in township, are then surveyed in all directions relative to the initial start point. When looking at the survey, the north-south line runs through the initial point and is called the prime meridian. There are 37 principal meridians, each bearing a unique name that allows for the reader to distinguish between the different surveys. The horizontal line that runs through the initial point is called the baseline. It always runs perpendicular to the principal meridian. The result is a grid system consisting of townships, each of which are designated a different township and range location. The township location indicates the north or south distance from the baseline. The range location describes the west or east distance from the principal meridian. Even though the Public Land Survey System is a very methodical system, there have been errors made either on purpose or by accident. The existing surveys are the main authority, in which any new survey must accommodate older ones by working from existing corners in surveys, even if there are some errors in the original surveys or any variation from ideal grid shapes. The result is some sections containing more or less than the target 640 acres per township. The original surveys in Ohio and Indiana were performed in a premature system that wasn't fully developed. Even though the townships are the target 6 square miles, the numbering system and start points deviates from the rest of the surveys. Another example of different style of surveying takes place in Louisiana, where land parcels were known as arpent sections predate the Public Land Survey system but are still treated as PLS sections. The French arpent is a measurement of 192 feet, thus a square arpent is approximately 84 acres. These arpents tend to be more narrow, long sections of land that are more common around the Delta and Mississippi River areas in South Louisiana. It began in the early 1700s by the French, but the tradition of arpent was continued by both the succeeding Spanish and American settlers after the Louisiana Purchase. The typical French arpent land division yielded tracts that are 2 to 4 arpents wide by 46 arpents deep. The result is a more riverfront land for everyone and thus a more suitable division for prosperous agriculture. Today we treat land arpents like standard sections. Okay, now that you're pretty familiar with the Public Land Survey system, let's finish up with an example. Let's say Farmer Joe wants to purchase land and is told that there's a plot available in the 6th Principal Meridian, Township 3 North, Range 2 West, Section 5. Where would that be? It looks something like this on a map. Now what if I were to give you another area? Could you give me the numbers? Let's say I want to find this point on a map. What would my PLS coordinates be? I'd recommend that you pause the video and try to locate it for yourself. Okay, did you figure it out? If you said 6th Principal Meridian, Township 2 South, Range 2 West, Section 7, you were right. If not, that's okay. Just keep practicing. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you learned something new.